you're not manifesting the exact life and outcomes that you want purely because your identity still feels safer in the old version of you. Hi, I'm Jo. I'm a subconscious wealth and identity coach for female founders. I help women rewire the subconscious beliefs, the identity, and the nervous system, the patterns and the behaviors, so that they can actually shape their own reality, so they can feel safe, holding more wealth, gaining more visibility, and the success and freedom that we all desire. So today, I really want to help you gain a deeper awareness of who you are right now and the identity you're actually living from as I speak to you now, every single day. Because until we actually become more aware of who we are, nothing truly changes. And you know this, that's why you're watching. Because so many people are trying to manifest an entire new, completely different reality while they're still emotionally operating from the same version of themselves, which doesn't work because it's creating the same fears, the worries, the same emotional reactions you're having to everything around you. And that's because you have the same beliefs filtering your reality, which create the same patterns of behavior and bring in the same limitations, which are the frustration you have now. And then people wonder why their reality keeps repeating itself over and over again. And I honestly believe, watching what's going on around, that this is one of the biggest missing pieces in manifestation. Because online, we're often shown the vision boards, aren't we? The affirmations and the visualizations, which are hugely important. And often it's that just think positive approach. And don't get me wrong, our imagination and your visualization is your powerhouse if you're using it in the right context, because your imagination matters massively. But if you're still in the identity and your nervous system and your beliefs are still operating from the overwhelm, the lack, the fear, or the feeling of I'm just not good enough, then believe yourself, because you're seeing it, your external reality usually will continue reflecting that back to you. And most people already know this deep down, that underlining, because they've tried it over and over again. They've visualized, they've hoped, they've held the pictures in their mind, they've done the journaling, they've imagined the dream life that they wish to bring into theirs. But internally, something or nothing has actually shifted. So eventually you stop believing, don't you, in your dreams? You stop believing they're possible for you. And that then leads you to stop trusting this whole process. So you stop visualizing, you stop dreaming, and then you start, very quickly disconnect from that dream life and go back to the 3D reality that you're in now. But the dreams were never the problem. The problem is we can only ever truly manifest to the level that we believe we are now. And honestly, this was me for years. For all of my life until a few years ago, I remember when I was working within the NHS, within the health visiting team. Now, the title of my role was a community nursery nurse. And that, even though the work we did was genuinely beautiful and incredibly impactful and important, but I used to feel absolutely embarrassed and ashamed, quite honestly, to say the title out loud, because I imagined nursery nurse was like, oh, people judge you, don't they, instantly. So I avoided saying it because deep down, I was fearful of the judgment, or they would initially wipe me out of their view. Well, you're just a nursery nurse. And looking back now, I can see how much of my whole identity and self-worth was entirely attached to that external validation and how other people perceived me. I was so worried how other people perceived me. I created this box of fear within me. Because when you rely heavily on the outside world to constantly tell you who you are, you end up entirely disconnected from yourself internally. You need the title, you need the success, you need somebody, and you need the recognition. And you're constantly searching for that proof. You're constantly searching for that validation outside of you, because without those things, you fully don't actually feel good enough inside yourself, do you? You don't believe yourself. And honestly, that's what kept me stuck for years. Most of my life, the same identity, the same emotional patterns repeating themselves, the same fears racing through my mind that I just wasn't good enough, I wasn't worthy of abundance, and the same money struggles just over and over again. I could never earn more than a certain amount, which created the same outcomes for me, the same feelings of never feeling fulfilled, never having a life that my purpose was bigger than me. Because when you don't truly believe in your own worth inside, you unconsciously keep creating the outcomes that basically just mirror those beliefs externally. You're the one creating them. And this is why self-awareness is the basic foundation of all transformation. And I keep repeating this because people need to hear it. You have to become aware of who you are now, what you believe about yourself, about the world now. What emotional patterns and behaviours have you now normalised and continue to do, not even consciously aware? And what fears are driving your decisions? That's a massive one. And what stories you keep repeating in your mind, what you blame outside of yourself. I was a great one for that. And what are you too scared to do? Because deep down, you just don't feel ready, you don't feel worthy or safe, or you don't feel you're capable of doing it. Because until you become aware of the identity you are currently in this moment operating from, nothing can truly change long term. You might see it happening for a few days, but you'll go back. And that is why I talk so much about reconnecting back to yourself, back to your soul, back to who you are, to your inner peace, your inner knowing, your intuition, your guidance. Back to your own energy, because most people are living completely externally focused. The whole world around them is what they believe is true. They wake up and immediately react to the outside world, from watching the news, looking at social media on a daily basis just to numb themselves. They fear the same money worries over again. They've got the same stress going through. The fears are rising. They start comparing themselves and creating the same circumstances over and over again. And when you completely live entirely from reacting to this outside world, you are trapped within the same emotional frequency and identity. It becomes déjà vu. The same fearful thoughts race in your mind, and what you think today, you create your tomorrows. The same stresses that actually start destroying us inside. They keep you awake at night and they keep you on your toes 24/7 because you never feel you're doing enough. The same lack mentality, that's repeating, making you feel trapped financially, physically and emotionally, because they're creating those same outcomes that you're moaning about. And this is why practices like breath work, meditation, sound baths, just being still, and visualization are actually so powerful, but so easy not to do, aren't they? Not because they're magical. They don't just magic things away overnight, but these are the things that can help you start to reconnect back to your soul, to your energy, and who you truly are underneath all this conditioning that we've had put on us, all the noise, all the emotional chaos that you've been creating in your world, because those are the things that start to calm your nervous system. They quiet the fear, don't they? They reconnect you to your own awareness. And from that space, you are the one that can begin shifting your identity into the version of you who already holds your dreams and desires. You stop constantly looking outside of yourself for proof that you're enough. You actually start to trust your own decisions. You trust yourself more. You calm yourself down. You believe in yourself more. And that's what creates the safe feeling within yourself. And honestly, this is what and where the transformation truly starts appearing and happening for you, not a moment before. This is exactly what I see inside my Reconnect to Fire program with the women every single week. Hearing their goals come to life, they are experiencing incredible transformations. Not average, but phenomenal, rapidly. And it isn't because someone's come in and rescued them, but it's more that they finally chose themselves. And they're learning about themselves and what their beliefs are. And they're becoming more self-aware so they can create the new identity and step into her, feel safe. They're recognizing the old patterns. They're calming the nervous system down because wealth is calm. They're reconnecting to their self-worth, their self-love, and they're becoming aligned with who they actually want to feel and live by. They're not reacting to this outside world. And actually, this is where naturally confidence begins building from that place. There's no fake confidence. It doesn't work. Getting told to act like something doesn't hold long, does it? And they're not forcing the confidence because real confidence comes from taking the action steps. But if you don't feel safe to take those steps and internally your world isn't going to change, which means your outside world isn't going to reflect that back. If you constantly need validation from your own worth from the outside, this is the work that you need. Because when you start watching women seeing their own new possibilities come to life for themselves for the very first time, you're going to start to understand the most beautiful thing there is in life, that you have the power to do it. And that is the joy that I love doing this work. And I am so grateful to be part of this right now. This transformational work shifts your entire reality. You're thinking from a calm mindset. You're not in fear. You're not sitting up at night worrying about the money because you're trusting you will always be supported. The evidence of this is everywhere. People are constantly feeling, aren't they, more overwhelmed, more anxious, which disconnects them from who they are because they're constantly reacting to the outside world. The world is crazy at the minute. It's loud, it's noisy, but it doesn't have to be your reality. You're not the one needing to know all of what's going on around the world. It's not going to change you. It's going to keep you in fear. It's going to keep you where you are now. And your own self-trust is actually lowering. Now, one of the beautiful things is when you work with the laws of the universe, the law of assumption teaches us that we don't manifest what we truly want, yeah? We manifest what we believe ourselves to be right now. Neville Goddard describes the law of assumption as you become and experience what you assume yourself to already be. So that's quite a big question and a statement. So if somebody, let's say you're constantly identifies as never being enough, always getting rejected, feeling pushed aside, always struggling financially, emotionally, don't quite feel safe to be that visible at the minute for your business, always moaning that things are expensive or you haven't got enough money, don't feel seen when you walk into rooms, and they constantly keep creating those own behaviours and emotions and the outcomes that actually match that exact identity. That's what I've done for most of my life. Until I flipped them, which is why the identity work is the foundation and the most powerful way to change. And we can change the moment you decide to change. It doesn't have to be what we read of 5 years, 10 years. That's nonsense. You don't have to suffer or fearfully go to bed with anxiety racing, worried about how you're going to make the bills. You don't have to look in lack or limitations. They're just created from beliefs, self-limiting beliefs. Bob Proctor, his biggest transformational saying was, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. And my favourite statement from him was, you don't get what you want in life, you get what you are. That really started to unpick my mind, and my thinking expanded massively. My consciousness was like blown. So ask yourself now, What am I creating for my tomorrow, but why? And also, what am I doing to change it? What are my beliefs today about myself? Because when my clients say they feel stuck, they feel frustrated, they're exhausted, it's everything they're doing, no time, no freedom to do the things that they love, I can clearly hear they're seeing their life, through the layers of just purely conditioning, of fear, of the limiting beliefs and the emotional wounds that they've and were created throughout their life. And when you begin removing those layers, and it is like veils coming away, you realise there is so much more available to you than you ever believed possible. And it is almost magical because you're seeing things that you never were able to see. You realise the abundance that you have and the peace and the opportunities and the feeling of sensation of joy, but most of all, the calmness and the freedom it brings you, the space, because that space is where wealth is created and you feel more alive. But until you can actually become aware of who you are and how you are currently living from today, all you'll do is repeat the same patterns day in, day out. So today, I really want you just to sit with this question. Who am I being every single day? Because your life is always reflecting the identity, the beliefs, but also the emotional state you are repeatedly operating from. And the beautiful thing is, identities can change just like that. This is exactly why I created Reconnect Her Fire coaching program for female founders, because the women inside this space are already experiencing massive transformation. It's powerful work. Transformation is when you decide you've had enough and you want to move into more wealth, health, and freedom. And these women are already becoming more confident, more self-aware, consciously aware, which brings the calm, the safety within them, and they finally start to take the steps towards the life they truly want, not what they feel they have or should be. They've done that. They're ready now. So Reconnect to Fire is my own 6-month group coaching experience for women who are ready to stop repeating the same patterns and start becoming the version of themselves that feels safe with more money, with more wealth, that feels safe to be more visible, to have the success and the freedom and the happiness that brings. And some of these women are already creating sellout events just in a few weeks, bringing in more wealth, which brings in the peace of mind, which lets go of the fears. And that brings out the confidence that they truly can create the life of their dreams. So if anything inside of you already knows you're ready for more, then don't hesitate. I would absolutely love to welcome you in. So don't forget to hit the subscribe so you don't miss out on the next upcoming videos where I go deeper into this work to help you create the life and dreams which were given to you that you truly deserve to be in.